What's up, GIGA gamers? Welcome to the Strat Chat. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be galvanizing your mind. We're going to be talking about freezing. What is it? How do you use it? How does it impact games? And more importantly, how can you use it to win? Let's check it out. Freezing is a tactic that you can use to gain incremental advantages in your lane state. It's the ability to take a wave that's in a positive state, an offensive state, and hold it against your own minions so that when you come back to your wave or when you stay in your wave, it's constantly in the position that you want with the number of minions you want and hopefully giving you more gold and experience. Freezing is the concept of taking a negative wave where you are down by 3 or 4 minions, letting it naturally push into your minions, helping to groom it to keep it in a position where you can freeze the lane in one spot. Most times waves are going to go back and forth. There's going to be an ebb and flow of push and pull. A freeze is taking a wave and holding it in a position. All right, what are the main benefits of freezing? Number one is experience. Especially early in the game, the experience is more valuable than any amount of gold that you can get. Hitting level 2, level 3, and being able to control the level spikes is a huge difference. Secondly, you might be able to get more gold by forcing more minions to die when your opponent is recalled. You have access to more gold in the game. The third benefit of freezing can be safety. You can freeze a wave in a position that's very safe for you. So you can take positions where you are either low on mana or you are in a losing matchup, or when your teammates are on the other side of the map and you just want some more safety. These are the main advantages to freezing. The number one detractor, the number one con of freezing is that you lose tempo. The enemy gets to act first. They will be killing your minions first. They might be able to leave first. They can recall first. They'll even hit level spikes first. So you have to be careful of what they can do in this time. For that reason, freezing in the late game is much worse. Not only has your experience and gold descaled as the game continued, where small differences don't mean nearly as much, but also the opportunity to make something happen with an entire team around, the opportunities go up and tempo becomes more important. The second detractor of freezing is the potential for an avalanche. An avalanche is where you take a negative situation and it snowballs out of control and becomes a catastrophic event for your team. In this case that we have the wave up top, if their team came in and, for example, either dove or ganked us, whatever it was, killed the wave, suddenly this wave of 10 minions will come in, take the turret. They're also going to take probably 2 plates, and these 3 champions are going to be able to rebound into the lane with much more gold, much more experience, with us having lost those 10 minions. So there you can see the pros and cons of freezing. You may want the safety. If you think that you can hold a wave versus a champion that maybe killed you early or that has a winning matchup against you, holding a wave close to your turret provides the safety where they cannot approach you under your turret, and unless they have a consolidated dive with their team effort, they're not going to be able to punish you. You might do it because you want golden experience. These are the 2 most common reasons that just happen from game to game. These are small incremental advantages that the earlier they accrue, the more likely they are to create an advantage in the game. The difference between level 2 versus 1 is much greater than the difference of 8 to 7, for example, and least of all would be 18 to 17. There's not much difference at all. The earlier in the game you can get these level advantages, the better it is for you. Same thing is true about gold. If you buy an extra longsword at the beginning of the game, when your AD is at 760 and it becomes 70, well, you've just created a 16% increase in your attack damage. You're going to deal significantly more damage in a fight. Well, how about if you're at 160? Does 170 gold really matter? Not nearly as much. Now you're talking about 1/16. You're talking about a 6% change. All right, so I've opened up the practice tool, and this is a drill that anyone can do. I highly recommend it. We're going to practice teasing the waves. We're going to do different things. I'm going to show you how to slow push, crash, freeze, draw it back, gain offense and defensive states, and we're going to do them all in this controlled situation. We're using a Nasus bot just to have a melee champion versus range where we can really emphasize the differences here. Anytime you have an attack range difference is usually going to be a sign that you have control of a wave. Although you need to be careful in situations like Gnar versus Camille. Just an example where Camille has a lot of jumping threat to get on you. So the waves will naturally always combine here at the middle of the map. Okay, if you don't touch them, the three melees will branch out, hit 1, hit 2, hit 3. Number 1 and 2 and 3 will each fight each other, and the waves will always evenly fight. If you don't touch them, if you don't do anything to them, they will behave accordingly, but we're going to show you a couple tricks to emphasize the minions the way you want. Now, the first trick, most common when you don't need to leash for your jungler, is going to be to pull the wave. This is very common in the top side if you have a winning matchup, and you should do it in most low elo games where they're asking for a leash. What I'm going to do is come right out here as this minion's passing me, draw some aggro, bring it back, and now suddenly I've disrupted the AI of the minions, and I've made them focus fire my lead minion. After all, once a minion is forced to attack a target, it no longer obeys the standard AI that brought it there. So I disrupted it. I made it look at me. Once it looks at me, I can pull it, drop aggro by going into the bush. And now I get this situation where the wave's coming into me very comfortably. Now I can sit here. Anytime that I want, I can harass a Nasus. And anytime I want to pick up last hits, I can pick up last hits. Now, every time that I attack Nasus, you'll notice that I'm drawing minion aggro, right? And slowly, but surely, every time that I get one of these hits and every time that I hit the Nasus, the minions will attack me, therefore drawing this wave towards him. All right, I can create offensive states. Now, if I don't want to switch the minion aggro, then I have to use AoE spells, and I can harass like that. Or I can go out of range of the minions. You'll notice that that's about the tether range. Look at that caster. It was angry. Dropping aggro is a little trick that you can use. I'm going to come in. We'll get this last hit. I can hit this one, draw the aggro, go into the bush. No more aggro. And that's it. So now I've created this slow push for the cannon. I'm going to look at this wave. There's nothing that your enemy can do to you in this state. You're huge. You're being backed by twice the amount of DPS that he is. He can't do anything. Now this is called a crash. I take this wave. I finally decided to push it in. I can do a number of different things here. Most common of which is going to be harass the enemy champion so that they can't get any last hits. And you see this is a good chance for me to get this is a good chance for me to get a health lead on the Nasus. Anytime he wants to come up and get a last hit, I can step in and auto attack. Now, to rebound a wave, if I want this wave to come back out to me, okay, I want it to go into turret range with some of his minions still alive. Now look, now we've created this wave where, again, his minions have disrupted their priority. They're going to come towards me. In a dire situation where you are, for example, an AD carry who is alone because their support has gone off to gank, you maybe feel very susceptible in this situation. This is a perfect trick. Look, my cannon's dying. The wave's coming into me. I never really need to present a target. And in fact, I could even sit right here and just collect this XP. Oh, look at this guy being aggressive. Well, of course, we couldn't punish stupidity if they come forward that far. Now, this wave is coming towards us. Now, this is the perfect situation for a freeze. I've mentioned before, I have an HP lead. If Nasus comes up, he's going to die. And now, we get to hold the Mount Everest of freezes. Look at this situation. I've got the wave comfortably away from my turret. Even if they aggro on the back line. Even if they aggro on the back line, they're still going to be out of turret range. Now I have to do what's called culling the wave here. Sometimes the minions just are lemmings. They will get themselves killed for no good reason. This is called culling the wave. And now I'm going to peel the wave. Both of these are tactics to keep the wave in this situation. How is this Nasus ever supposed to get back in this lane? I have a 2-level advantage. I have my ultimate. He does not. I have enough health. In fact, I probably have more health than him. He comes up. You know, obviously this is bot being really stupid, but just to show, they can't even think about coming close to you. Again, we can hold this wave. Now, do I want to freeze by staying here? The truth is, I don't have an ultimate anymore. This wave is about to bounce, so now I need to go and do a crash. I'll take this wave. I'm actually going to use all my resources into it. Get it out as quickly as possible. And I'm actually going to recall right now. Get back a little bit sooner. Did I do it in time? What do you think? You can always look at your own wave to see. Boom, it gets there. Not quite. I did not get it in. All right, so this is going to be a problem for me. Now I'm stuck where Nasus gets to freeze. And even though I have a lead, yes, I have a range lead, but look where I have to position myself if I want to harass this Nasus. Hey, harass this Nasus. I can poke him. But now, look where I have to be. If I want to harass him, I'm putting myself in danger of a gank. So let's see if we can try to get a better crash next time. That early recall, rather than hitting the minion an extra 2 times, may have been the difference. Sometimes that can be the difference between actually getting it all the way in, all the way out. Now we take, any time that they're freezing, we want to try to manipulate and create a slow push that we can crash, and it tends to require our mana, right? So in this case, I'm going to use my mana to harass the Nasus, but also primarily to push the wave. Now he can no longer stay in. I get to crash it all the way in. Sometimes I get my plate as a reward. Now, this is what's going to cause a rebound. There's so many minions at the turret right now. Watch what ends up happening. Alright, because the minions are gathering under his side, the cannons can help with the last hitting, and suddenly the minion wave is on his side coming back out to me. So I got my comfortable recall in. I didn't get the rest of another plate, but that's fine. I'm going to collect the rest of the experience that's coming this way with a very minimal loss. If your support or your jungler is doing a good job for you, they're going to help you get this wave out quickly. As you notice right here, Nasus is trying to push, but he does it too slowly. Now he's stuck in a positive wave with a deficit. So again, we've got checkmate on this guy. Obviously, this guy's a bit of a monkey, but I can even hold this wave. Now, should I? Every time it's got to be a question. Should I hold it? In the case where you're 1v2, you're weak side of the map, or you're alone as a top laner and your jungler is other side, then yeah, you probably just want to hold this. It's worth spending a little bit of health. This ward could go a little bit deeper to see when they're coming back, to see if they're setting up a trap for you. But again, I'll just start calling the minions a little bit. We need only 4 to stay alive. 3 can be done if you're also peeling the wave. But in most cases, it's easier to just have 4 and step them further away from the turret. Someone can take this. Again, grab the minion aggro, pull it away from my turret. And again, look how much experience the Nasus has lost. Yes, we've gotten a couple kills, but he's down 2 levels just from manipulation of the waves. We've taken these kills and turned them into extra leads. Sometimes we don't even need the kills. Alright, so like we said, we want to turn it around. If I want to start turning this into a slow push, right, then I'm going to go fast push the wave a little bit. Notice that I left a couple minions behind. I don't want to kill this guy by accident. Now I'm going to start auto-attacking the wave. I've created a minion lead. This is enough of a slow push. In fact, we're basically crashing this wave now. Kind of did it a little bit too quickly. Now I can take this wave. They can't stand up to it because it's coming in right on them. Now, when we do finally crash the wave, if they try to play defense, they're going to be dealing with the aggro from all the minions. And when we do crash it, we get to collect way more from the plates. My reinforcing wave comes all the way from the base, and it continues to draw the aggro of the turret, and I get all that cheddar. Now, should I stay for this last plate versus take a recall? That's always going to be game dependent. It's going to depend on how much gold you need, what spikes you need to hit. In this case, I can also double the plate take as an aggro drop. And now, again, the minion wave will come back out to me. See how they focus fired on this. This is how to devastate your lane, how to take small leads and turn them into big leads. You can maintain small advantages that get bigger. Roll them into a bigger and bigger lead. Snowball off of this lead. In this case, I have more gold, more items, more levels, more everything than the Nasus. And it's all because of a few tricks with the wave. Now let's look at this example from Cloud9 versus IMT versus Immortals. Suddenly, by showing a little aggression, look at Malphite pulling the wave to the side. You're taking this matchup that is supposed to be obnoxious for you, with Jace having the range advantage. You get the early Warden's Mail, and you say, I'm going to ignore you in the early levels. We're going to scale up. I want to get to the mid-late game. I'm going to allow you to put some amount of pressure on me. I'm going to mitigate the amount of damage you can deal, and I'm going to hold this wave up in the top lane. Take a look at this top lane position. Malphite used his ult to gain the flash from the Jace, and he's holding this freeze. His team is strong here. Jace has to use abilities at maximum range, allowing Blabber to get in. Now look at this situation. How is Revenge supposed to do anything? Malphite steps up, holds the minion wave, and you are going to get the Mount Everest of freezes, especially Poetic because it's Malphite doing it. So now Jace, with no knowledge of what's going on in the river, places a very defensive ward. And you can see by looking at the minimap, Malphite's freezing this wave. Jace has to play super safe, right? You can't approach as a Jace in this situation because Zillion's gone missing. Xin Zhao hasn't been seen by your team. He's got no flash, and now he has to lane versus the Malphite, who's going to have his ult up faster than most other champions, with the threat of Zillion or Xin Zhao coming. And how is the Jace ever supposed to continue to show aggression here? Let's watch the best player to ever do it manipulate a wave. First off, we've got a 3 versus 1 state. The wave is negative. It is coming towards you. Victor does a fake recall in the bush just in case there's a ward, comes out and actually holds the minions with his bubble. This ensures that they do not get into turret range, and they'll be waiting for him when he comes back. Watch him shop. He does a quick shop, gets his resources back, and starts coming back out to lane. Now you'll notice, look at the lane. The 4 melee minions versus the 2. This one's almost already dead. This one's going to die next. This wave will sit here, even though his opponent was able to back with more money and more levels. Victor's going to swing this lane in his favor. So you see, your minions are dying faster than theirs. Their wave will constantly get larger and larger relative to yours. Now you'll notice that this being a little bit close to the turret means that some of the minions did get chopped off by the turret. An ideal freeze would be slightly further out. But when you come back to the wave, Victor, despite being lower in levels, is now going to regain all the experience that he had lost. He hits his 5, and now suddenly he's so far ahead of the Corki on gold and experience that he can step up. There are some huge cons to freezing a wave. Namely, 1, your opponents get to act first on the map. 2, they get to hit experience breakpoints first on the map because they're getting those minions before you. And those things combined can cause catastrophic losses in your lane. In this case, the red team, Cloud9, has been trying to hold a freeze in the bot wave. TSM, being organized enough, comes together as a 4-man stack and eviscerates the bot lane. Summit teleports in, trying to save them, trying to make a play. And they just hold the minion wave, and they'll get ready to do it again. All of this coming off the back of a freeze. All right, enemy team, the correct answer to a freeze is to come in with full aggression, make a emphatic play, and suddenly the bot wave, the bot lane of Berserker and Winsome has given up 2 full waves and died and given up the better part of 2 plates. There are obvious opportunities for freezing to go wrong and for you to actually influence someone who's freezing a wave if you come from another lane. It is very important if you're the support or the jungler. Try to find these situations. In this case, it's the ultimate example of a roaming Karma top that comes down, but you've basically got 5 champions coming down to this play to make sure that it works. All right, let's listen to Midbeast talk about Chovy's interpretation of the mid lane.
And I believe that Chovy is actually, he's solved the mid lane. He knows exactly what to do to get the advantages, whether it be 1 CS advantage or a solo kill. It doesn't really matter to Chovy. Anything, he'll take it. The enemy mid laner is not allowed to breathe. You're not getting free CS. You're not getting free XP. Every single thing is contested, you see. The Victor matchup, guys, into the Silas, you got a range advantage, level 1. And Chovy, like, I've watched hundreds of Chovy lanes, right? And he actually goes by, most of the time, he has the same kind of set plan and set strategy. The number 1 is he slow shoves the first wave to make sure that once the second wave arrives, he kills the first minion before the enemy. He gets level 2. The level advantage looks for the out trade, okay? 1 level is huge in the early game, okay? The base stats increased, obviously another ability. So he will slow shove this wave in and he'll crash this wave.
All right, so for starters, using offense in the range versus melee matchup, that is the first thing that's important. You have to have knowledge of your matchup. Second, with the range versus melee, you get more auto attacks in. The melee champion can't risk so much of their health bar by coming in for last hits, so therefore the victor's always going to be guaranteed to get level 2. Notice that he slowly pushed the first wave, so that he's surrounded by minions in this case where he's 2 versus 1. With this level advantage, he can start harassing the Silas. Silas has no counterplay. If he tries to come in for a trade, he's going to get waylaid by all of these minions. So now we're going to take this wave and with a slow push, slowly get it in to the trade. Depending on the game, you may want to crash in this position, or you may want to slow it down even more to get the cannon wave to come in and help you out. In this case, Victor wants to go out and get his ward, make sure that he's not ganked because he plans on continuing to play aggressively. So now he's got the range versus melee lead, of course. He's going to harass Silas every opportunity he gets. Every time that he uses a single target ability or an auto attack, he's going to draw minion aggro. Every time that he does that, he's helping his minions to push. Now, as soon as Silas goes and starts playing back on the wave, now you've got a negative wave. Look at the total health bars. Victor wants to continue playing aggressively, so he continues to trade, and he continues to harass. He wants to use this early level with Silas being so low to continue putting pressure on him. He's not ready to freeze. Now Silas, realizing that the wave is 5 versus 4, takes their opportunity to recall. Chovy steps up, looks for a window to cancel the recall, one of the most important things you can do to win that lane state. And Silas will get his teleport off. Of course, this is an earlier patch. He's teleporting to the minion wave, but you can do it just as easily to your turret. But now look, it's level 4 versus 3, still range versus melee. Victor has to play a little bit more cautiously because now Silas has shopped. That's the big difference. Right now there's an extra 15 AP and 60 HP on the Silas. Victor needs to be a little bit more careful, and you can see the Silas is stepping up just a little bit more, willing to get into these positions. Victor rewards for himself, so he continue to play aggressively, and here he goes with the shove. Notice he hasn't really thought about freezing once. He threatened to do it once. It caused Silas to step in for a trade. Victor's AoE caused a push. No longer in a freezable situation. Silas is actually doing a very fine job of freezing the wave right here. It's actually Silas who's playing this wave perfectly, I would say. Still more minions for the blue. Silas using some AoE to help clear the wave down a little bit. And now that Victor's low on resources, now it's a challenge. Can Silas get this wave out versus the dwindling mana pool of a Victor? You can see him start charging up his stacks. He wants to AoE clear these, sacrifice some of his health. Now you have Victor, who has waited for his recall on low-ish mana, but Silas is now low on both resources, needing to go through his biscuits to get back up. And now Victor knows he can just hold the wave here. This wave is more or less even, very slightly positive for him. Silas has to play super cautiously. Silas didn't get a chance to get the same wards out on the right side of the river that Victor did. You can see Victor's hovering a little bit more towards the right side because his kindred is there. The wards are there. Now Silas's nightmare is coming true. He's got less health than the Victor. Victor has enough health to fight, and he's 6. He steps up like he's going to ult. Silas steps back. Nothing comes of it. Victor can hold this very slightly positive situation, and this is where you need to be careful with a freeze. If you freeze too far out away from your lane, the other laner who has a lead on you might punish you by zoning you out like this, and then you just don't get to touch a wave for 1, 2, or 3 waves. It probably takes someone coming into your wave to help do it. Silas decides, I need to get out of this situation. I'm going to steal Victor's ult the moment I hit 6 and push this wave. Looks like he might start fighting, right? Goes for the hard shove. Now Victor gets to decide, should I take a freeze here? I know Silas is no longer a threat to me. He just uses ultimate. He's got no more resources. So he steps up. He starts a trade. Now, very important moment. So now as the Victor, you actually know Silas is no longer a threat to you. He's used his ultimate. You have much more health than he does. The minions are actually going to deal just as much damage as a Silas in any kind of trade pattern that goes on here. So do you hold a freeze? Victor opts for the aggressive option. He goes to trade in. He's saying, I want to make sure that I have a health lead if Silas continues. Now, what do you do with the Storm? Do you use it to push out the minions? Or do you keep all of them here? The truth is, this is too many minions for a freeze, so you'd always want to cull at least 3 of them. But what do you do with the rest? You'll see that Chovy lets it go, ticks everything, pushes everything in the wave, and starts his recall. Now, there's his trick, the final trick to bury him in the coffin, to lock the... This is the final trick to seal his fate and throw away the key, the fake recall. Silas starts taking his back, thinking that Victor is back and everything will be just fine. Instead, Victor gets the full shove in and the full wave gets under turret. When he recalls for the first time, it is 6 minutes and 50 seconds into the game. He's got 24 more creeps than the Silas, a half level, at this moment, he's 7 versus 6, so you could say a full level, but about 60% of the experience of a level lead over the Silas, and he still has his recall, whereas Silas is walking back. So you can take that wave, the threat of the freeze, pushing, slow pushing, crashing, and then the fake recall when you might have frozen the lane, to then smash it in their face, grab the whole lead, and shop. This is a great way to show how you can use slight amounts of freezing to get large leads, but then use the tempo when it's right. You can't be sitting on so much gold. With 66 gold, he's probably sitting on 1,700 gold right now. So he wants to shop. You no longer want to be freezing in this situation with low mana. You want to spend your resources, get your recall in. You see, he even uses a biscuit to help him get the mana to shove this wave out, because he's sitting on 1,700 gold. You no longer want to hold that freeze. You don't even want to think about it because you have too much gold to spend. Go get your lead. When we do get back onto the Rift, we're looking at a huge difference in stats. Look at the extra move speed that the Victor will have, letting him play offense and defense. He spent 1,750 in gold, whereas the Silas has only spent 1,200. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you like this video, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps the channel out a lot. I'll catch you guys next time. Keep it surreal. Peace.